It's exactly where I was going with it, um, of that impact. Talk to me
Yeah.
a little bit more about um, what it what you do. So you just hit it on the head of mentorship is important. Like how how can you articulate to people how to find a mentor, right? Because part of leadership is like I want a mentor, right? And
Yeah.
I've gone through this myself, and I have my own take on it. But I'd love for you to be able to um, expose some ideas and thoughts to people on how do you find a mentor.
Yeah. So first of all, if you don't have a mentor, you need to go find one, um, because it's huge and it makes a difference in your life, not just personal life, but your professional life. So if you don't have one, go find one. The advice I give people is it doesn't have to be somebody in your profession to be your mentor. You can go outside your profession. It needs to be somebody you trust, somebody you respect, and somebody who is willing to give of them their time and knowledge to you. Uh, I have mentors who are not military people, never were military people. The other thing, and I think there's some good to that, having a mentor outside your profession, somebody who has fresh eyes, who aren't tainted by everything else that's going on inside your profession. So I encourage people to have at least one mentor outside your profession. The other thing that I think is important to remember is a mentor doesn't have to be somebody that is higher up than you are at your level. I can tell you right now, I've learned as much, and I would count Master Sergeant David Powell, who worked for me, and I said he worked for me. He was probably a better leader than I was. I count him as a mentor. He absolutely helped me when I was running my ROTC program, and he was working for me. My first platoon sergeant, Sergeant First Class Pinson, remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, that was 100 years ago. Um, Absolutely, I give him credit for helping to develop me into the leader that I am today. So don't be afraid to pick some. It has to be somebody you trust. That's the key. So go find one. I promise you they're out there. Somebody wants to be your mentor.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you know, I'm going to poke on this a little bit, so I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. Um, how does someone initiate the conversation, right? So it's good that you gave the characteristics of where to look, but um, you've gone through this yourself. You've
Sure.
experienced people coming to you. Sometimes people lack creativity, right? And I can I'll give my example on this after you give yours. But I think it's really important for people to hear, like, how do you strike that conversation up? Like, what's the icebreaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you start it? Like, what's a good initiation of it?
So I think that the key is, um, first of all, to make sure that they understand that you're looking for a mentor. Bring it right to the front. Um, that look, I need a mentor. Nobody's stepping up, and I trust what you say. I respect you, and I would love to have you as a mentor. And that's how I've done it in the past. I've gotten several mentors that way, and I've also had some tell me I don't have time. I was like, okay, um, but I got it. There's only so many hours in a day, whatever. You can't mentor everybody, so I got it. But be honest that you're looking for somebody to help you, not only professionally, but as a person, because that's just as important as the professional piece. Somebody who's going to teach you some life skills as well as what you need on the job. And
I completely
before
agree.
we got on the air, I was telling you about the two mentors I had in high school that I still stay in contact with. My
Yep.
head basketball coach, Coach Terry Nizwicki, still stay in contact with him, and he made a huge impact, had a huge impact on me as a high schooler. And then Mr. Schindler, Mr. Charles Schindler, who was my history teacher, and I majored in history in college because of him. There's no doubt about it. And as I was telling you, he just died recently, just a couple days ago, and a sad loss, not only for me because I don't get to stay in contact with, but with everybody else that he had an influence on over the years.
Yeah. And once again, I'll share my condolences. That's tough when you have somebody that you have such a strong relationship with that takes that next chapter, right? Um, my condolences. So my answer to this is, first off, you need to figure out, what are you trying to learn? Like, articulate. You got to be able to articulate, like, what are you looking to get mentored on? Um, because I've struggled with this in the past, and I remember my days when I worked at Best Buy, and I walked around. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, right? And the reason I say that people lack creativity is I didn't know what to say,
Yeah.
and that's why I was looking for you to help, share some experiences. And so I went around and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor. I'm looking for a mentor. And people are like, okay, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
And then
I think
I'm
that's a
like,
great point, Zach. It really is. Because there's different parts of your life that you need mentorship in. Again, like I said, it's not always professional. It might be your personal life. You might want to have a mentor about being a husband, about being a father.
yep.
That's a different mentor than somebody who might help you professionally, or it could be. Might not be, but it could be.
Yeah, you completely agree with you. You got to identify that, and as part of your statement to whoever you're going to go um, associate that mentorship with. And my father-in-law, one of the things that he gave me was, associate yourself with the groups that you're seeking mentorship with. And
Yeah.
one of the groups that he asked me to consider was Rotary, and so I did, and I became a Rotarian. For a while, and just out of time, I'm not anymore. But I did, and he said, go just be a part of the group for a while, and then as you learn the group and you learn what people are doing and stuff, pick up personalities that you like and people that you just naturally gravitate towards. And then as you establish that relationship, say, hey, I'm looking for a relationship, for people to have as a mentor, and I'd like to learn how to be better at XYZ. And it's as simple as that. And um, I feel like there's a natural connection here between you and I see that you do X really well,
Yeah.
and because of that, I was wondering if you would help mentor me to be better at X. And it's as simple as that. So I'm going
Yeah.
to repeat it again, um, just so people can hear it. And I think this is really helpful as a leadership skill and trait to develop. Is um, uh, I see that you're good at X, or excuse me, I'm looking for a mentor to help me with X, Y, and Z. I'm looking to develop the skills of that. I see that you're really good at X. Would you be willing to help me develop skill X so I can be better at it? But you
Yeah.
can't just go blindly and do that. You have to have some level of relationship and rapport with the person first. That's how I believe you become most successful with it.
Yeah.
Coming
I
into
would
it
agree with
cold,
that.
coming in cold to it is harder, not impossible, depending on the person. Um, but join the ecosystem first, and then look for the mentors, seek the mentorship from the people in the ecosystem of the skills you're looking to acquire the mentorship from.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. And I think that, that's who you associate with is huge. And I think that that's a good point to make, to bring out, is that you want to associate with people that are like-minded, who have the same aspire to be the same, to be good at whatever it is they do, all the different things like that. The old saying, sit with winners, the conversation is different. Absolutely. So I think you're absolutely right there. I think, a lot of times you're part of that association. You're associated with those people because of your profession. Certainly, if you're looking at for a mentor outside your profession, then that's a little different. And it certainly your advice is absolutely right. Go find that organization that you want to become a part of, and then get to know people. Because get and that I think that's something that we've lost. A skill that we've lost today is the communication and the building of relationships. Um, and I
Yeah.
blame these things for a lot of that.
Well, you know, I started a coffee company. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. It's called Pillars of Valor to help give back to fellow veterans. Um, and part of that was because I want people to sit down and take a deep breath and chat with each other again.
Yeah,
And there's no better way to do it than um, having a cup of coffee,
yeah,
right? Like, hey, if you want to strike up with a conversation with someone to find out if they could be a potential mentor of yours, say, hey, man, I'd like to get to know you better. Can we have a cup of coffee?
yeah,
Like, sit down and like just chat. But when you're doing it, put your damn phone away. That's the advice on that one,
yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Nothing
And
drives
don't
me more crazy than sitting there talking to somebody and they're playing on their phone.